I confirmed that the largest investor in my REIT is a pension fund. In fact, 1, 2, 3, they are pension funds. So you see, but it all goes back to the question which General also has raised about the environment, because in floating the REIT also, the legal environment played a major role. Issue of transfer cost, issue of transfer of title was a major issue before SEC eventually approved the REIT. But it's possible. We have done it and we think it's possible.
All right.
I think I'd like to make a quick comment to that. In the context of what we're talking about, which is really affordable housing, I would say that we probably have a chicken and egg situation. To list a REIT, you need stock. We don't have formal stock in the housing space, particularly in the affordable housing space. On the other hand, there's been a lot of discussions around mortgages. What with the mortgage refinance company recently instituted, I'm not sure that it started to function yet, but imagine a situation where this started to function. Where is the stock to meet the now broader availability of mortgages? I think our conversations here really would be conversations around how do we build stock, and in that process, how do we overcome all of these obstacles, many of which we have already talked about, solutions for the obstacles. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Can we have the questions on the screen, please? No, they're not showing here. Can't see them here. While we're waiting for the questions to come up on screen, may I ask Thomas, given that the IFC as an international development financial institution has a large pool of funds, and the fact that you're also trying to assist in mass housing, how do you manage the issue of foreign exchange risk in a country like Nigeria? Even if the fund is available, even if Nigeria meets all the criteria, how do you manage the issue of foreign exchange risk? I know you've recently set up or just established a Naira bond. Is that available for housing projects?
I wish I could answer that question. I don't have the answer for it. I know that the majority of IFC's activities are hard currency based, dollar, euro, and so far in the commercial sphere, which is where we've been mostly active, we get comfort in the transactions take place, dollar transactions at the least level, which give us comfort, but that doesn't obviously apply in the housing sphere, so I really don't have the answer.
All right, okay, no problem at all. The first question is on what are the requirements for long-term financing for mass housing development? Do we have to go through local banks? Any takers? Kim, do you want to give it a try?
Well, like I said before, the greatest problem of financing of real estate development in this country is the fact that only short-term funds are available. Because typically, real estate development, even if you're talking of mass housing, you're talking of the size of projects that General Rich is talking about. These are projects that will take have a maturity period of between 3 to 5 years at the least. And the best you can get from the banks, although today you can get between 3 to 5 years. So that's why I mentioned creating alternative platforms for financing. And I think for a developer, the REIT provides that opportunity. In this country, we have not had successful development REITs, but I think that with the right structure, we can have a due REIT, we can raise the funds. The benefit of that is that you're not under pressure from your banks to start repaying, because it's a quasi-equity form of financing. And I think that's one area that we can explore. You can always borrow from the bank, but if you know that your interest rate is 18 to 20%, by the time they add all the other things, you're looking at above 20%. It will be difficult for you to break even. And that's why we've had several aborted projects all around the country. But I do know today also that some banks are a lot more proactive in working with us to create financing instruments that helps us to finance these projects on a long-term basis.
Thank you very much. Next question, please.
Next question, please.
Thank you. What is the government planning as regards government-backed home mortgage to the average person? I think Mrs. Akinwumi would have to answer that.
Okay, I'm trying to understand what government-backed mortgage would mean. But basically, we've had conversations around the fact that there would always be an affordability gap between the real cost of construction and people's pay packets. So what government does in every clime and even in Ogun State, as was announced by His Excellency yesterday, is to put initiatives in place to close that gap. In Ogun State, we have the Mission 1 initiative, which is basically a subsidy program, recognizing that the cost of the house is what it is, and that people's income is also what it is. So the subsidy program is to try and close that gap. If that is what you mean by government-backed mortgage, then I hope I've answered the question. On the other hand, most people, particularly in the public service, are contributors to the National Housing Fund. And what we have recognized in the corporation is that many people don't even understand what that NHF means on their payslip. They know that some money goes out every month, but they don't realize that they have a right to a mortgage because of that contribution. So we have found ourselves organizing small forums where we actually talk to people and literally handhold people to the primary mortgage institution to say, look, listen, you can start a process even if you don't have a home in view right now. Get yourself ready to be able to take advantage of what is rightly yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. On this note, I'd like to say a big thank you to our panelists, starting from Akim, Joe, Thomas, the keynote speaker, General Rees, and Mrs. Akinwumi. So please join me in saying a big thank you, and we'll close the session thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, panel. Lovely session there. Please come forward for photographs with Executive Governor. If you still have questions, please continue giving them to the ushers. We'll compile them, and like I did say yesterday, we have a format whereby we can send these by email to any members of our panelists.
And so they've just ended the plenary session, the fourth one for the second Ogun State Investors Forum.